I don't belong here! The panic is attacking me!
Oh, boy.
Golly, Bob, howdy! I'm not a toy!
Pixar has had a phenomenal success at hitting them out of the park. And I didn't think that 2 could be as good as 1 because it was one was so complete. 2 broadened it up a little bit. 3 drilled it. And then when Andy said goodbye and the last shot is us on the porch, which if I recall, that was the last shot of the movie, supposed to be. But again, my memory is that the little girls, Bonnie, saw us. You go, wait a minute, she could probably take care of us. And you're thinking to yourself in preliminary look at it, hey, why not?
The 4th one will be, please tell me what this is. And it ends up being, I think, just as profound and new as the previous movies were. They keep finding this new kind of reality to examine in the personas of Peep, Gabby, myself, who I say myself, Woody, and everybody else. And it really has always been a question of, well, what is the logic and what is the theme? And they never cease to amaze me, is that they have that nailed at the very first time we get together and start working.
What's next for these toys? They've been given to Bonnie. It feels like the story's over. I thought it was over. And it wasn't until we kind of dug in and said, what's next for these guys? And we started finding these great little moments to explore, and it started to build into a story that was worth telling.
There's only one reason to make a movie, and that's if you have something to say or if you have somewhere to take the characters. When we started thinking about this idea, I know it was Andrew Stanton who kind of first pitched this idea of there's more for Woody, right? That there's more to tell here. Academically, what Andrew had pitched was something along the lines of Toy Story 3, because it had a great ending, and a lot of people said, oh, that's the ending. I mean, even my parents were like, that's the ending. And Andrew's kind of answer to that was, no, that's the ending of Andy's story. You know, Andy he's not the protagonist, he's sort of the external plot. And that was a great ending for him, but Woody, he landed on his feet certainly, and it was a beautiful kind of piece of storytelling, but it's not the ending. And just that foot in the door of what if you could take Woody and show him in a new world, show him with a different challenge.
And here comes Forky, and he wasn't even a thing. He was just this collection of pipe cleaners and I guess some Play-Doh, maybe a little bit, and a disposable utensil to eat pudding with. And he doesn't even realize that he has number one, a consciousness, but also number 2, a job. He thinks he's trash. And so it's like Woody has to project onto him. He's got to educate him as opposed to the importance of where he stands. He's got this heavy burden of responsibility, and that he has to, organize everybody. But in this case, he also has to provide a reason and guidance for Forky, who normally would be afraid of everything and throw himself away.
He's Woody. He's been Woody for almost 30 years now or something like that. So he knows the character so well. He knows the world so well. It was a joy working with him. He almost directs himself because everything he gives you is gold. It becomes an embarrassment of riches. It's like, what take do I not use? So it was so much fun working with him. Absolutely loved it.
Well, that's Woody, right?
Yeah,
Getting up there?
Let me tell you. No!
Come on, guys!
Oh, no, I have to. Here's the classic one here. This is there's a great Woody line here, which is that he gave us to Bonnie. Bonnie needs him to get through kindergarten. That's Woody in a nutshell. That's Woody in a nutshell.
From my point of view, you find Woody's expanded sense of is it possible to say his expanded sense of real and Buzz's limitations. In a very funny way, Buzz doesn't have a consciousness, which is probably one of the biggest laughs to me to do it. And of course, I don't get to do this with my buddy Tom, but he's having a crisis of confidence, and he wonders to himself, and he says, I'm just having this, I can't get the line right, I don't remember, but he said, I just wondered to myself, and his voice keeps telling me that I should go after Bonnie or something, and I lean in and go, who do you think it is? And it's so Buzz. And he goes, my inner voice. Yeah, I get it. Who is it? Like I can't even fathom another voice in me talking. And Buzz is so linear and so who I wish I was. He was so duty-oriented. He's engaged only in one thing, and he finds an inner voice. But it's plastic, and it works for Buzz.
In Toy Story 4, we take that relationship even deeper between Buzz and Woody. Buzz is there at the beginning, really compassionate to Woody's new situation in Bonnie's room. He wants to help him in any way that he can when he sees that he's struggling, whether it's being relegated to the closet, or whether it's being stepped on by Dad, or having a handful of Forky to be able to deal with. Buzz is compassionate to him.
Tim Allen is Buzz Lightyear. He just is. And he comes into a room and it feels like Buzz Lightyear has just walked into the room. Tim has been doing Buzz for 30 years as well, and he and Tom both know what feels right for these characters. And that's something that I relied on that heavily. If they ever felt like, this doesn't quite feel right, I go, well, let's stop and let's talk about it and let's get there. So it was so much fun working with both of them.
When last we saw Bo Peep, she was, and she had been given away. And so she has been lost for many years and separated from, many of her other friends. And then she's found.
So Team Bo is a group of artists here at the studio, animators, artists, technical artists that came together to work specifically just on Bo Peep and her kind of return to the big screen. All of these artists were all women at the studio that kind of took it upon themselves to shepherd her, literally, onto the screen in a big way. And they oversaw every kind of aspect of her and made her incredibly awesome.
Bo Peep's interesting is because she has made her peace and she's wise. She's actually seen a way a world works that is, on one hand, completely counter to what Woody is hip to, but at the same time, it's kind of like the embodiment of what Woody wants, which is to be played with by children in order to make their lives a better, more happy place. Bo Peep has been able to discover that somehow. Bo Peep is the one who also does in a lot of ways what Woody does for Forky. Bo Peep does for Woody by saying, you're better than this, and there's things that you can do that you're not aware of. Bonnie made a friend in class.
Oh, she's already making friends.
No, she literally made a new friend. Hey, it's okay. Come on out. That's it. Come on, there you go. Come on, let's get you out of there. You got this. Good. Everyone, I want you to meet Forky.
Forky is kind of always wants to get back to the trash. He has to go on this road trip. He's like, I gotta get out of here. And so while everybody is sleeping, he tells me, I am not a toy. I'm made for soup, salad, maybe chili. That's my purpose. And then I go to the trash. And so he just jumps out the window and he's like, freedom! I don't have to be a toy anymore. And then Woody sees this and then he jumps after him because he knows how special Forky is to Bonnie. And he's like, it's now Woody's goal to get Forky back to Bonnie. And he does everything he can to make that happen. He sees himself as trash. And Woody is like, no, you're made for something a lot more. You're made to be loved. You're made to be, to give someone love, to be held. And it's just like, God, who doesn't want to hear that? If anybody thinks of themselves as trash, It's like, no, you're made for so much more.
Who's the cowboy?
Duke, meet Woody. Woody, meet...
Duke Caboom, Canada's greatest stuntman. Duke is part of this world that we find inside an antique store. And, you know, there's a lot of toys without, you know, friends, without a kid. And, you know, Duke's a part of that world, and all of a sudden Bo Peep comes back and she's got a friend with her. Who's that cowboy? You know, and so he's introduced to Woody, and at that time, they also have, you know, they need some help, and they're going to they're going to Duke to try and help them, and Duke wants to help.
I was not prepared for how funny Keanu Reeves is. I was not ready for that at all. He's just naturally a very funny guy, and he brought so many gags and so many thoughts that are in the movie. For example, Duke doing all these poses, that was his idea. He came and met with us early on. Before he was even cast, he came and was talking about the character, and out in our atrium, he just stood up on the table and started posing and yelling, "I'm Duke Caboom!" And I was like, this is hilarious. This has to go into the movie. And so I'm so glad he is in this film, because that is him on the screen.
Hey, howdy. Hey there. Sorry to bother you, but...
Why, you're not a bother at all. We were just out for my early morning stroll. And look, we met you. My name is Gabby, and this is my very good friend, Vincent.
I play Gabby, who starts off sort of seeming like the villain, and she's a 1950s doll who had a dysfunctional voice box her entire life. So a child never wanted to play with her, and of course a toy's entire purpose is to be loved by a child and to love a child.
When I pitched this film to Christina, and I told her more about Gabby, and I told her, like, there's a lot of ventriloquist dummies and it's kind of creepy, and she went, "Oh, okay, this sounds great." And I said, what?
Here's the thing, as creepy as Gabby is, it's all very, very wonderful to me because I love antique stores. I always, as a child, wanted a ventriloquist doll, and my parents would never get me one. So later in life, my husband finally got me my ventriloquist doll, and it is in my office, and I love him so very much. So when I came in to do the voice, they were showing me this animation, and I said, "You guys, this is blowing my mind. You have no idea, this little doll has red hair and blue eyes and hangs out with weird ventriloquist dolls. Like, she is me." Except for, hopefully I'm not as... Maybe I am misunderstood. Maybe I'm really misunderstood.
Lightyear.
Hey, up here, Astro Boy.
If you think you can just show up and take our top prize spots, you're wrong.
Dead wrong.
You don't understand. I'm trying to
Cheat the system and get with a kid? Yeah, we know.
No, I need a child to shower you with unconditional love.
Join the club, pal.
Yeah, join the club. I'm part of a duo, and I play Ducky, and the other half of the duo is Bunny, who's played by Jordan Peele. So, for those who don't know, we had a comedy show for 5 years called Key and Peele. So the dynamic is very interesting. They're very similar in their outlook of the world. They just want to be owned by a kid, but the kid, they don't even have they don't have an opportunity they don't know what they could do to get their chances to be better. I mean, they're carnival toys, you know? The ring toss, it's all fixed. It's all fixed. Those games are fixed. And so it's just this existence where they're going, one day we'll be one, or when will we be one? And also the other thing that we don't, the one thing that they never talk about is if one of us is one and the other one isn't, then what happens? So it's, so the dynamic is kind of like an old bickering couple. There's a lot of love there, there's a lot of loyalty there. They would do anything for the other one. But at the same time, they get on each other's nerves. You would too if you were connected to another being for your entire existence.
We have always been huge fans of Key and Peele, and we started development on this film and started talking about the role of Ducky and Bunny when Key and Peele had their show on Comedy Central. We were huge fans, and we were looking to develop these characters into kind of two best friends and sometimes worst enemies that are literally sewn together at the hands. They needed to finish each other's sentences. They needed to drive each other crazy. And these two guys came to mind right away.
I read the first draft and that was good. And then there was a working animation that was almost like, I think, better than Toy Story 1. I mean, the technology, overall this thing is so beautifully shot. It's so rich, it's almost startling. The hair on the kid's head and it was amazing. Looking at Bonnie's eyes, a lot of it was amazing.
It is so visually stunning. It is stunning. You're just, the whole time you're kind of watching this and you're like, I don't know how people can do this. Like, I don't know how this is even possible. Even like Bo Peep's face and how the lighting of the china and stuff like that, you're just like, what? How is this even possible? So the eye candy of it alone is crazy.
It was good to be back in that world again. And there was, most interestingly to me, there was new characters, new music that was required. There was more of Bonnie in it. And there's other characters who were prominent that were in early and who were important enough to merit a new theme or something, you know. And that's what I did.
Music is huge, and Randy, we wanted Randy's score. We wanted Randy to score this film from day one because, well, obviously he scored the first three so beautifully. There was something about the music that came up early because people, you know, there are a lot of people at Pixar that are working on this film that said things like, oh, that was my first movie. And that song is the first song I remember. Like, the music and the song, Got a Friend in Me, I think helped. Well, it's just part of the fabric of Toy Story, so we couldn't imagine it without Randy. What was cool, obviously Randy is an American treasure, so working with him has just been a great honor. And what was cool about it was, he, like the actors and how we feel about the film, he didn't want to just come on and do another Toy Story. He wanted to shift a little bit and adjust. So as we talked about the story and the characters and where we were going, he just organically started thinking about the music a little differently. And I think what he's done is created one of the great scores where it's rooted in the sort of the history and the grammar of Toy Story musically, but somehow tonally shifted. I mean, his theme for Forky or the music he plays under Gabby Gabby, they feel completely new, and yet somehow, how he does it, I'll never know, but sitting on the stage and hearing that live, those brought us to tears at how beautiful it feels. So it's just a huge, it's as important as the visuals to us, that piece of it.
You don't take it lightly. It's a big responsibility. Everybody feels it when they first walk in, see what's up. They used to lay it out for us. There was a script to read. There was an animatic to watch, but they realized it's really a story that is in flux for about the 3.5 years that you spend making it. So that every time we come on, we kind of like say, well, what's new? You know, what are you going to spring on us now? But also, it always comes down to this relationship between us, with the microphone right there, and our memories and our interpretation of everything the characters have been through.
All the work you do, 4 or 5 years of this, putting this thing together, layer after layer after layer, and you start seeing it put together. Believe me, the magic is Pixar and the music and the editing and all the songs. That's the magic. I get to witness it in about 20 minutes.
It's wonderful to be back, and it's especially wonderful to be back in such a significant way, with a Bo Peep who has grown and gotten more important and more confident and more everything. She's a wonderful role model for kids.
Tim and I and Annie we all have a lot of muscle memory that's based on being in those studios with those microphones, and so we kind of are able to go into a trance. I think like Keenan and Christina and Keanu there and Tony, they're all asking, have I done this right? Will Forky remain in the movie? And I think, yeah, we'll be fine. You've done well.
I think I'm just as overwhelmed as Forky is in that world, so I'm pretty excited and can't believe I'm here. I think Forky feels like he's with like icons like Woody and Buzz Lightyear, and I feel like I'm with icons like Tim Allen and Tom Hanks and Annie Potts.
Yeah, I mean, when I went to meet with them at Pixar, they had a lot of renderings of the character, and I really kind of took the energy from the renderings and how they talked about the story. And
Obviously, it's written in such a smart way for adults, but with such a genuineness and earnesty that children respond to it as well. But it's what brings tears to adults' eyes, because there's something that's really like, it's what you yearn for, is the way these toys become a family and support each other. It's just kind of what we all want.
It's legendary the amount of time it takes to make a Pixar movie. And I think people go, oh gosh, 5 to 7 years. But it's worth every second if you're really, really, really developing characters that people want to be invested in. And we want to be invested in Woody and Bo Peep and Buzz and the new characters like Ducky and Bunny. And so I feel like the care that they take in finding the heart inside of characters and the true desire inside of the characters is what really resonates with us.
Being asked to direct a Toy Story film is extremely exciting and terrifying at the same time, because we all love these characters and we just want to do right by them, and that's all. So we put more pressure on ourselves than anybody else could, I think. So, and I think it's paying off.